What's going on, Veve fam? Welcome to Veve Investments. I appreciate you tuning in. On today's episode, we're talking about all the larger first appearance comics on Veve, and this is intended for any comic beginners. So if you guys enjoy the content, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below what you want to see in a future episode. And without further ado, sit back, relax, and enjoy. So that interview between David Yu and Binance New Zealand still hasn't popped up yet. So I don't know where it is, but I'm just running through some of the episodes I intended on dropping on the channel. So we're talking about over 40 comics in today's episode. It's going to be a little faster paced. So with that being said, let's hop into the first comic. So first up, we got Marvel Comics #1. So this is going to be the first Marvel comic ever, the one that started it all back in 1939. The Marvel Universe's Big Bang is in these pages, and it kicks off with an explosion as the android Human Torch, in his first appearance, collides with Namor the Submariner, also in his first appearance. And this is the first comic book ever published by Marvel, but when it was first released, the franchise was known as Timely Comics. Now there's going to be a total of 60,000 editions ever minted, 48,000 of those 60,000 being common covers, and right now you can grab it for 45 gems in the secondary market. Next up, we're going to have Journey into Mystery number 85, the first appearance of Loki, the god of mischief. So never before has the mighty Thor faced a foe as dangerous as his brother Loki. In this comic, the Thor family is also going to expand with the first appearance of Asgard. The issue talks about how when Loki travels to Earth, the trickster god will stop at nothing to get revenge from his hated brother Thor. The issue talks about when Loki travels to Earth, the trickster god will stop at nothing to get revenge from his hated brother Thor, including unleashing his magic on the helpless mortals. Same edition size as MC #1, 60,000 editions total, 48,000 commons, and it's going for only 8 gems in the secondary market. Next up, we're going to have Amazing Fantasy number 15, so probably the most sought after comic on the platform right now, but it's going to be the first appearance of the Amazing Spider-Man. That is why. So when young Peter Parker gains remarkable abilities from a radioactive spider, he must step up and try to become a hero while also dealing with the fantastic pressures of an everyday teenager. It was released back in 1962. There's only 10,000 editions minted total, and of the 10,000, there's 6,000 common covers. Now, if you're interested in grabbing the first appearance of Spider-Man in the MCU, it is going to be the most expensive comic in today's episode, sitting around 390 gems in the market. Next up, we have Fantastic Four #1, so the first appearance of the Fantastic Four. Now, this comic redefined the superhero comics and introduced the Fantastic Four to the world. In this issue, the Fantastic Four spring into action as a team for the very first time. Mr. Fantastic, the Thing, the Human Torch, and the Invisible Woman are heroes transformed and gifted with extraordinary powers after being exposed to cosmic radiation in an experimental spaceflight. And the description of the comic says that the ripple effects of this single issue continue to influence comic books to this day. It was released back in 1961. There's 60,000 editions total. It's actually the third comic book to ever drop on the platform. Of the 60,000, 48,000 commons, and you can grab it right now for roughly 30 gems in the market. Next up, we have New Mutants number 98, and this is going to be the first appearance of the fan favorite Deadpool, the Merc with a Mouth. In this issue, Cable and the New Mutants are introduced to the extra lethal and extra verbal Deadpool. We all know that. But can they send him packing before Deadpool makes good on collecting his bounty? Released back in 1983, there's 60,000 editions for this guy as well, 48,000 commons. And if you want to pick up the first issue of Deadpool, you can grab it for 5 gems in the market. So Avengers number 8 is going to be the introduction for a popular character to just drop on the platform, and that being Kang the Conqueror, his first appearance in this issue. His description reads that he's destined to rank as one of the most unique villains of all time. It's released back in 1963, only 10,000 editions total, so 6,000 commons, and luckily I was able to get this one on drop, but if you want to grab it in the secondary market, you can pick it up for 92 gems. Next up, we're discussing Uncanny X-Men number 4, or in other words, the first appearance of Wanda Maximoff, the Scarlet Witch, and her brother Quicksilver. So before they were Avengers, the Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver were introduced to the world in this issue as members of the villainous Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Magneto also makes a reappearance in this issue, and the X-Men and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants battle for the first time ever. It was released back in 1963, there's 30,000 total editions, 21,000 commons, and right now you can grab this issue for roughly 7 gems in the secondary market. Next up, we got Daredevil #1, or as many people know, the first appearance of Daredevil. So this release was actually a 2021 New York City Comic-Con exclusive, and it features the Man Without Fear's origin story, as Matt Murdock is blinded but gains superpower abilities that he uses to patrol Hell's Kitchen. It was released back in 1957. There's 30,000 editions total, 21,000 commons. And right now, the first appearance of Daredevil is going for roughly 17 gems in the secondary market. Next up, another very, very popular comic on the platform. Shout out to Mr. Pegs. I know you're a fan of this one. But this is going to be the first appearance of Miles Morales. In my opinion, the next generation Spider-Man. So in this issue, Peter Parker is struck down by his arch nemesis, the Green Goblin. But though the teenage web slinger is gone, his memory lives on. While Thor, Captain America, Iron Man, Nick Fury, and more mourn the loss of one of the world's finest heroes, Miles Morales takes the mantle of Spider-Man. Ladies and gents, in other words, a moment in Marvel history. It was only released in 2011. There's 30,000 editions total, 21,000 commons. But despite being a relatively newer comic, it does hold its weight in terms of value. It's going for roughly 30 gems in the secondary market. Next up, we have Thor number 337, and I remember this comic specifically because when it dropped on the app, I had every single comic on the platform up until this drop. With only 10,000 editions total, it was a more limited drop at the time. I didn't end up getting it, and that marked the first comic that I didn't have on the Veve platform. So it's the first appearance of Beta Ray Bill. It was released back in 1983. In this issue, Nick Fury asks Thor's aid in investigating an alien ship heading for Earth. Thor arrives and triggers the awakening of an alien protector, Beta Ray Bill, but when Bill bests Thor and takes up his hammer, he is summoned to Asgard by Odin. Uh-oh. So as I mentioned before, it's released back in 1983, only 10,000 editions total, 6,000 commons, and you can grab it for roughly 16 gems in the secondary market. Next up, we have Eternals number 1, and this is a comic that I could see gaining value over time. And when I say over time, I mean really long term. You got people like me that grew up with the Avengers, but the current generation, just like they are growing up with Miles Morales versus Peter Parker, they're growing up with the Eternals versus the Avengers. So it's going to be the first appearance of the Eternals. And within this issue, deep in the God Chamber, archaeologist Daniel Damon and his daughter Margot learn from their assistant, Ike Harris, that he must activate the cosmic beacon deep within the God Chamber. But Deviant's Crow and Brother Toad have another plan in mind. So it was released back in 1976. There's 30,000 editions total, 21,000 commons. And if you want to pick up this issue, it's only going for 2.5 gems in the secondary market. In Amazing Spider-Man number 361, Carnage is unleashed in his first appearance. So within this issue, the spawn of Venom is the result of the criminally insane inmate Cletus Cassidy bonding with a symbiote, resulting in a deadly creature of violence and insanity, that being Carnage. Within this comic, you're going to witness Spider-Man's first battle against Carnage, which ends in bloodshed. And the psychotic and brutal legacy of the character starts here, and only Spider-Man and Venom are the two people that can stop him. So it was released back in 1992. There's 30,000 editions total, 21,000 commons, and you can grab it for 6.5 gems in the secondary market. Sticking with Amazing Spider-Man, but going to number 14 this time, we have the first appearance of the Green Goblin. So while he's complete with his flying broomstick and golden armor, in this issue, the Green Goblin tests his mettle in a face-off with Spider-Man. It was released back in 1963. There's 70,000 editions total, 49,000 commons, quite a lot with this one. And because of that, it is going for only 5 gems in the market. Next up, we're going to have Fantastic Four number 5. So this is going to be the first appearance of Dr. Doom. So in this issue, the Fantastic Four's greatest nemesis is introduced in the first of many titanic battles as Victor Von Doom, who is out to prove that all should bow before him. It was released back in 1961. There's 30,000 editions total, 21,000 commons, and right now it's going for roughly 18 gems in the secondary market. Next up, we're talking about Amazing Spider-Man number 3, or in other words, the first appearance of Dr. Octopus. So atomic scientist Dr. Otto Octavius was given the name Dr. Octopus by his peers due to the 4 remote-controlled arms that he had created. Then, on a fateful day during an experiment, an explosion fused the metal arms to his body, and now on the verge of insanity, Dr. Octopus begins his criminal career as one of Spider-Man's greatest villains. It was released back in 1963, 30,000 editions total, 21,000 commons, and right now you can grab it for only 9 gems in the secondary market. Next up, we're talking Tales of Suspense number 57, which is going to be the first appearance of the avenging archer, Hawkeye. I'm not entirely sure what's happening with this character. For those who don't know, Jeremy Renner's was in the hospital because of a really bad accident. He ended up asking Marvel to take him out of the MCU, so I'm not sure what their end decision is. But regardless, this issue was released back in 1959, so nevertheless, still a very old character. There's 30,000 editions total, 21,000 commons, And right now you can pick up the common cover for roughly 3.5 gems in the secondary market. Next up, we have Avengers number 57, or the first appearance of the Vision. So before he became an Avenger, Vision was created by an evil android Ultron and sent among the Avengers to destroy the team from within. But despite that, the Vision would rebel from his evil creator and would go on to be one of the longest serving of Earth's mightiest heroes. It was released back in 1968, 30,000 editions total, 21,000 commons. And right now you can grab it for roughly 5 gems in the secondary market. Next up, we have Hero for Hire number 1, the first appearance of Luke Cage. So within this issue, you're going to meet a character named Carl Lucas, who's a down-on-his-luck inmate at Seagate Prison, who's been framed for cocaine possession. Cage is offered a chance of parole if he agrees to be a participant in a beta-stage experiment, but in the Marvel Universe, scientific experiments sometimes have unexpected side effects. So it was released back in 1972, there's 30,000 editions total, 21,000 commons, and you can grab it for only 4 gems in the secondary market. If you pick up Marvel Spotlight number 5, you're going to get the first appearance of Johnny Blaze's Ghost Rider, or in other words, the Spirit of Vengeance. A bit of a unique first appearance comic here. It was released back in 1972. There's 30,000 editions total, 21,000 commons. And if you want to pick up this piece, you can grab it for 8.5 gems in the secondary market. Next up, we have Tales of Suspense number 77, or in other words, the first appearance of Peggy Carter. Now, Peggy Carter would go on to eventually become Captain Carter, who is one of the Marvel Mighties that we have on Veve. In this issue, Captain America joins forces with a French resistance group led by a woman who he would come to know as Peggy Carter. It was released back in 1966. There's only 30,000 editions total, 21,000 commons. And if you want to pick up her first appearance, it's going for roughly 2.5 gems in the secondary market. Next up, we have Strange Tales number 180 is going to be the first appearance of Gamora. Gamora is going to be a popular character in Guardians of the Galaxy, or for those who don't know, is also going to be the daughter of Thanos. It's released back in 1975. There's only 10,000 editions total, 6,000 commons. And right now, her first appearance is going for 6.5 gems in the market. Werewolf number 32. This issue is going to be the first appearance of Moon Knight. The comic description reads as follows. In the light of the moon, the werewolf battles a mysterious stalker known as Moon Knight. But how did Moon Knight come to possess his silver weaponry? For 3 nights in a row, it's Jack Russell versus Moon Knight. This first appearance was released back in 1975. There's 30,000 total editions, 21,000 commons, and it's going for roughly 7 gems in the secondary market. Next up on the list, we have Strange Tales number 110, the first appearance of Doctor Strange. So in this issue, you meet a different type of superhero, the Master of Magic. Another very popular character in the MCU. His first appearance was released in 1951. 30,000 editions total on Veve, 21,000 commons, and you can pick it up for roughly 11 gems in the secondary market. Next up, we have Sergeant Fury and his Howling Commandos number 1. So this is going to be the first appearance of Sergeant Nick Fury. And within this issue, on the front line or in the trenches, Nick Fury's elite squad of the Howling Commandos are a force to be reckoned with. The resistance against the Nazis is now in France. Will they turn the tide on the Commandos? This comic is going to mark the earliest legendary adventure of Nick Fury as a war hero. It was released back in 1963. There's 30,000 total editions on Veve, 21,000 common covers. And despite the value of the physical comic being over 6 figures, the digital version on Veve right now is going for only 4 gems. Next up, we have Iron Man number 55, the first appearance of the mighty Thanos. Or in other words, the Mad Titan who can possess the Infinity Gauntlet that we're still waiting to drop on Veve. So in this issue, Iron Man confronts the dual threat of the Blood Brothers, Thanos, and Drax the Destroyer. It was released back in 1968, 30,000 editions total, 21,000 commons, and you can grab it for 3.5 gems in the secondary market. Next up, and maybe not a larger first appearance now that I think about it, but I still know this character versus many other first appearances on Veve that I've never heard of before. But this is going to be the first appearance of Kamala Khan as Miss Marvel. It's a relatively newer comic, released back in 2014. There's 30,000 editions total, 21,000 commons, and right now you can grab the common cover for only 3 gems in the secondary market. Next up, we have Tales of Astonish number 13, or in other words, the comic that started it all for Groot. It's the first appearance of Groot, the fan favorite character from Guardians of the Galaxy, released back in 1959. So he is actually a really old character. A little more scarce now, 20,000 editions total, only 12,000 commons, and he's going for a little over 6 gems in the secondary market. Next up, and maybe not a larger first appearance again, but still one worth mentioning in my opinion, considering some of the others that we have on the platform. That's going to be Thor number 1, or the first appearance of Jane Foster as Thor. Again, a newer comic in the MCU. It was released back in 2014. There's going to be 20,000 editions total, 12,000 common covers, and it's going for only 2.5 gems in the secondary market. Next up, we have Savage She-Hulk #1, or the first appearance and origin story of She-Hulk. There's not much of a description on this comic, so I'm going to skip right to the year here. It was released in 1980. There's 20,000 editions total, 12,000 commons. And just like the last comic we just covered, this one is also going for 2.5 gems in the secondary market. We're heading back to the Spider-Man franchise for Amazing Spider-Man #300, the first appearance of Venom, so another very popular Spider-Man character. In his first full appearance, you can witness the return of Eddie Brock and Red and Blue Spider-Man. It was released in 1963. There's only 10,000 total editions, 6,000 common covers. And right now you can grab it for roughly 37 gems in the secondary market. Black Panther #2 is going to mark the first appearance of Shuri as the Black Panther. So for those who haven't watched the newer Black Panther film, without me spoiling too much here, T'Challa's sister, Shuri, assumes the mantle of the Black Panther once their borders are breached. The issue was released in 2005, 10,000 total editions on Veve, 6,000 common covers, and right now it's going for a little under 3 gems in the secondary market. Next up, one of the more popular comics on the platform, we have Journey into Mystery #83, the first appearance of the mighty Thor. So when the stone men from Saturn invade Earth, only Dr. Donald Blake can stop them, but he stands no chance, not until he strikes a wooden stick on the ground and finds himself transformed into Thor, God of Thunder. So in this issue, you're going to watch as Thor learns how to wield his hammer in battle, as he's the only hero who can save Earth from being conquered. So it was released back in 1952, 10,000 total editions on Veve, very limited, 6,000 common covers. And with it being one of the more popular comics on the platform, you can grab it right now for roughly 52 gems in the secondary market. Next up, we have Amazing Spider-Man #31, the first appearance of Gwen Stacy and Harry Osborn. So in this issue, Spider-Man starts college, but before he does, the web slinger must track down some crooks who have recently acquired nuclear cargo. Now with Aunt May ill at home and Peter's personal life in disarray, will Spider-Man be able to tackle freshman year and a new villain by the name of Master Planner? So this issue was released back in 1963. There's 7,500 editions total, only 4,500 common covers. And right now you can pick up issue #31 for only 9 gems in the secondary market. Another Spider-Man comic, this time Amazing Spider-Man #4, or in other words, the first appearance of the Sandman. One of my first memories from the Spider-Man movies. The issue was released in 1963. Again, there's only 7,500 editions total of this guy, 4,500 commons. And right now you can grab it for 20 gems in the secondary market. Another one that dropped on the app recently, and unfortunately one that I forgot to go for, but we have Fantastic Four #52, the first appearance of the Black Panther, T'Challa, as well as the nation of Wakanda. So in this issue, the Fantastic Four are actually on a mission in the remote wilderness of Wakanda, where they encounter one of Marvel's most iconic heroes and are bested in a battle by the Black Panther. It was released back in 1961, only 10,000 editions, 6,000 commons, and it's going for roughly 14 gems in the secondary market. We have Marvel Premiere #47, or the first appearance of Scott Lang as Ant-Man. So within this issue, you're going to find out what happens when Scott Lang, who's the former electrician to the Avengers, funny enough, steals Hank's shrinking particles. It was released back in 1972, only 10,000 editions total, 6,000 common covers, and it's going for only 4 gems in the secondary market. Second to last, we have Tales of Suspense #94, the first appearance of MODOK. So in this issue, George is radically transformed into MODOK after an experiment with AIM and the Cosmic Cube goes awful. When Sharon Carter goes undercover at AIM and is discovered, Captain America will come face to face with MODOK. It was released all the way back in 1959, only 10,000 editions, 6,000 common covers. And if you want to pick up this piece, it's going for only 7 gems in the secondary market. Sorry, not second to last. This is second to last. We're going to have Giant Size X-Men #1. So another newer piece on the platform. It's the first appearance of Storm among many others. You're going to have Colossus, Nightcrawler, Thunderbird, and the living island of Krakoa. Plus, in this issue, Wolverine actually joins the X-Men as well. So it was released back in 1975, only 7,500 editions, 4,500 common covers, and it's going for roughly 25 gems in the secondary market. And last but not least, we're talking about Amazing Spider-Man #2, the first appearance of the Vulture. So within this issue, you're going to witness the Vulture's rampage in Manhattan beginning. It was released back in 1963. Again, only 7,500 editions total, 4,500 common covers on Veve. And with it being the second issue in the Amazing Spider-Man series, it's going for roughly 22 gems in the secondary market. Alright, so before I lose my voice, guys, I'm going to end the video here. We covered over 40 larger first appearance comics on Veve, so for anyone who is newer to comics, hopefully this video helped you out. But if you guys enjoyed the content, make sure to like and subscribe, comment down below what you want to see in a future episode, and as for our next, I'll catch you then.